Gentlemen, we're back with another installment of University Meeting episode 40. We're the gentlemen who are intent on improving their situation and continuing to raise their lids to therefore increase their production in business, increase their effectivity in life. This is where the gentlemen come to show up on a Saturday. 5 p.m. Eastern, a little bit later than typical, but that's because we had things to do. We had business to attend to. We had a gym session with Bauer, the ultimate fitness professional. Ripped a fantastic gym session. Fucking muscle ups. Superset in every fucking set. We were doing shit I never even heard of. Bauer had me going through the gauntlet. Breaking down the body in order to build up the mind. Correct? So we hit the gym session. I'm going to see him later this evening after we do some work on the AI trading bot that we're going to release here shortly. So today's stream, listen to your elders, right? There's a reason I chose this because of something I had seen in my personal life and brought up the fact again to me that it's so important to listen to your elders, your grandparents, your parents, your godfather, your godmother, right? Your elders in your faith, the priest, the bishop, the pope. It's important to listen to your elders. This generation, mine, the one below me, the one below that, overall are incredibly disrespectful to our elders. We don't pay attention to what these people are telling us. And it's out of pure ego, pure ignorance, pure hubris that we decide not to listen to these people. And we think that they're stupid, they're wrong, when in reality, that's not the case at all. Okay? 9 times out of 10, your elders are telling you something very important, giving you wisdom, knowledge, that if you weren't just so hard-headed, you would be able to take that in, put the filter through it that you need to in order to make it make sense for your own situation and in this generation, and apply that to your life. Listening to your elders is the most valuable thing you can do outside of getting mentorship from somebody who's been and gone to the places and to the heights that you've wanted to go to, right? Mentorship is the most important. Find somebody who's done what you want to do at the very highest levels and learn directly from them on how to do that. But when it comes to general life advice, stories, an insight, an opening of the curtain to see back into the past, your elders are the best people to get that from. So it's important to listen to them, okay? And I get it. The reason so many people don't want to do it is they think that these people are outdated. They don't know what they're talking about. Well, the times have changed. They have an old way of thinking. They have an old way of looking at things. When just because somebody's older or they have a different perspective or they lived life a different way doesn't mean that they're wrong. Just because things are different now doesn't mean what we're doing in present day is better than what they did 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. That's not for certain. You have to draw the lessons, draw the morals from your elders through the stories that they tell you. Okay? And the problem that people have with this is they take what their elders say so literally that they miss the point of the story. They miss the moral. They miss the wisdom in the message because they take it so personal, or they just want to be everybody wants to be so progressive and woke and forward thinking that their grandparents, they don't know what they're talking about. It's incorrect. Okay? These people have more life experience. They've lived plenty of more years than you have. In many cases, they're probably more successful than you have been. Some other cases, maybe they're not. Okay? But the point is that you have to draw the information and the knowledge from these people as much as you possibly can because they've done it. They've lived life. They've lived to an old age. How? Why? What did they do? What did they do well? What did they do poorly? Right? And nobody's perfect, of course. So another reason it's so important to listen to your elders is because you can also draw the lessons from them on what to avoid, what not to do, what mistakes they've made, and not make those and fall into those same traps, into those same mistakes, right? A smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. So why waste the time? Why take the time to learn from your own mistakes and repeat these same offenses and repeat these same generational curses of poverty and try to learn them from yourself for yourself, as opposed to just taking the lesson from your elders? Okay? So the best person that I do this with is my godfather. My godfather is my leader in the faith. He's my father in faith, in Catholicism. So my godfather, I look to him for spiritual wisdom, for wisdom in faith, wisdom in God. Why is he such a fantastic godfather? Because he actually takes his faith seriously. He goes to church every single Sunday. He's a, an usher in the church. He participates in the church every week. He'll go to church multiple times a week if he has to. One time with his family, one time with me whenever I come over, right? He'll go again. He'll take me. Oh, you haven't gone to church yesterday? Let's go again. Doesn't matter to him. He's the best godfather I could ask for because he actually is involved in his faith. So I can draw real wisdom from him. Is he older than me? Yeah, he's in his late 60s. He's retired. He's from a different generation. He's an old school Italian, old school Ukrainian. Okay? Old school, but Catholic. So every time I talk to my godfather, who do you think does most of the speaking? Who do you think does most of the listening? He talks the entire time. I shut the fuck up. I'm 27 years old. I'm making money. I'm successful. I'm fit. I do all these great things. I think I'm a fucking hero. And I do believe that. But I don't talk whenever he speaks, when I'm around him. What do I have to offer to him? He's 67, 68 years old. Been alive 3 times as long as I have been. Or 2.5 times. What do I have to offer to him? Nothing. So what do I gain by giving him pushback? What do I gain by trying to rebuttal or refute the lessons and the wisdom that he's giving me? I gain nothing from that. And this is the lesson you need to take for yourself is listen. Just listen to your elders. When I'm around my family, as aggressive and antagonistic fucking doggy as I am, and how big my ego is, even I, the way that I was raised old school Italian, I know not to, I don't speak. What am I going to say? Even if I know something that was said was incorrect or whatever, or I have a different opinion, I don't speak. It doesn't matter. It's not my place. It's not my time. It does nothing for me. It's a pure ego. It's a pure ego power trip. Oh, no, what you're saying is wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just old. You have a bad mindset. Incorrect. Nations across the world, cultures across the world, they look at what Americans do with putting our grandparents into fucking, nursing homes, and how we shun our elderly away and how we throw them to go die and fucking decay in these homes. And they look at us Americans and they think, what is wrong with you? This is your family. These are your parents. Your parents. You don't remember what your parents did for you? Everything they had done for you your entire life, and then you can't keep them in your own home. You can't help take care of them in their old age. You have to put them in a home and only go see them a couple times a week. What the fuck kind of society is this? We disrespect, we throw our elders away, not understanding how much wisdom, how much knowledge is sitting there, just begging to be asked questions, begging to be listened to. That's all they want to do is give wisdom. And so the point I was making with my godfather is I call him when I need guidance, spiritual guidance. When mentally, I'm not all the way there. When spiritually, I'm not all the way there. And I listen to what he says to me. And I don't take anything personal. I don't take it personal when he tells me I'm doing this wrong or I need to do that better or I'm thinking about it in the wrong way, etc. Whatever it may be. Okay? At the end of the day, I'm a grown man. I know what I need to do to get to where I need to get to. Okay? Now, where I want to get to may be different to where he wanted to get to. So that's where we may differ. But when it comes to the lessons of the things that he's telling me, I'm always listening with an open mind because it's the only way I can draw the lessons from what he teaches me. Okay? So I'll give you a great one. Great lesson that he gave me. So I went to go see him on a Sunday. So we went to church together. It was the second time he went that day. And he said, today, the reading that the priest is going to do is a very interesting one. It's a very good one, so pay attention. So the Mass goes on, and in a Catholic Mass, there's a portion of the Mass where the priest is going to give a parable, okay? Something for the Bible, a lesson from Jesus, one of the stories. And on that Sunday, the parable was Jesus was in a temple praying, okay? So a Jewish temple. And as he was sitting there praying, a crowd of people came into the temple, storming in. And this crowd of people had brought in with them a woman who they claim had cheated on her husband. So she was guilty of adultery. Okay? And the reason they believe this is because there's a period of time at that time when a woman was engaged and supposed to become married to a man where he wouldn't see that man, wouldn't have any interaction with that man up until the day of the wedding for many months. And somehow she became pregnant in that time. So naturally, she had cheated on him. So the punishment at the time for a woman who committed adultery was stoning. You'd stone her to death. So you get a group of people, and they would literally take stones, and they would throw stones at her until she died. This was norm. This was normal for that crime. Okay? So this crowd brings her in to the temple where Jesus is praying. Jesus looks up, and they say to Jesus, Jesus, we found this woman. She committed adultery. The typical penalty would be stoning. Shall we stone her? And Jesus picks his head up from praying. He looks at them. He says, yes. May those without sin cast the first stone. May those without sin cast the first stone. The people heard this. They looked around at each other, and one by one, they all started to walk out of the temple. Eventually, all leaving, with Jesus and this woman being the only two left, the woman that was supposed to be stoned to death. After everybody had left the temple, Jesus looked to the woman and he said, you're forgiven for your sins. Go in peace and essentially do better. Improve. Don't make the same mistake again. And so the point of the story is we're all sinners. So who are we to condemn somebody else for their past and what they've done? Does it make what the woman did right? No, of course. Of course it was a sin. Of course she was wrong. Of course she was guilty. But the point is Jesus said, yes, we'll stone her. So be it. But may the one without sin cast the first stone. Well, who were the only people who have ever lived that were without sin? There's only two. The Virgin Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Jesus himself. The only two people that have ever lived without sin. So the only people who could have cast the first stone were Mary or Jesus. He chose not to. And so the point is that who are you to cast a stone? Who are you to judge? Who are you to care what others are doing? And that type of lesson, right? Regardless of the delivery of it, the story, whether or not a woman should have been stoned at that time and whether that's right or not, it's not the point, okay? The point is that when you get that lesson, how do you draw the value out of that? How do you draw something that you can implement into your own life? This is how you have to look at the stories and the wisdom that you gain from your elders is don't take it so literally. Don't give pushback or try to point holes or be the devil's advocate. No, listen to what they're trying to teach you, why they think this way, and draw the value out of that story, out of that lesson. And you'll see, as soon as you start to listen to your elders, how much you learn, how much insight you get into the past. I mean, some of the best stories I've ever heard were from my grandfather. I've talked about him in the past, right? The man was a hero. Born in 1920. The year 1920, lived till 2021, to 101 years old. A hero. Mind clear. Strong till 99, 100, until at the very end he started losing his mind. But for most of his life, vast majority, a fantastic existence. The best stories, the best wisdom I've ever gotten to this day is from my grandfather. And you know what my biggest regret was at the time being too young as a kid to understand how valuable he really was. It's always as soon as somebody dies, as soon as someone's gone, all of a sudden we want to understand everything they try to teach us. All of a sudden we want that time back to be able to ask them more questions, get more stories, get more lessons. It's only whenever they're gone we realize that. And so unfortunately I was too young at the time to ask more questions. When I just had this fucking specimen, a human who had lived through so many events in his lifetime. He had fought in World War II, fought in the war as a young man, 18, 20 years old, in the military for Italy with his two brothers, spent time in concentration camps in World War II. This is the life he lived. Lived in Italy, poor, lived under Mussolini, under fascism. Which, by the way, another important lesson. I'll give you a great one right here. Benito Mussolini is made out to be evil, a terrible dictator in the West. Okay? So get ready for this. My grandfather loved Benito Mussolini. Okay? There's a reason that these people get into power in these countries. So here's I'll give you this as the perspective, right? So you grow up and you learn in textbooks about all these bad things that these people were and other leaders and these dictators and how terrible they are. But leadership is only given to those who have buy-in from the people, right? To a degree. Somebody has to believe in them. Somebody has to be bought into them and their vision in order for them to get the power in the first place. If nobody actually cared about them or liked them, they wouldn't be in power. That's the harsh truth about any leader, any dictator that's ever been around. Like, you can't be purely dictatorial, you can't be purely evil to everybody, because then who's going to defend you? Who's going to be your army? Who's going to be like, somebody has to agree with you. My grandfather, his brother, they loved. My great-grandfather, Luigi, my grandfather's father, loved Benito Mussolini. They adored him. Why? Because Italy had come out of one of the greatest depressions that their country has ever seen. Famine, people, just awful economic depression. And what did Benito Mussolini do? Brought him up out of it. So of course the people were bought into him. So it's this perspective that you get from your elders where somebody else today might say, oh, your grandfather, how could he like Benito Mussolini? He was a dictator. He was a terrible person. He was a fascist. He fought on the side of the Nazis at the beginning, which towards the end, the Italians had turned to the Allied forces, right? And, you know, somebody would be so focused on the fact that he liked Benito Mussolini as opposed to thinking, hold on a second, well, why? My grandfather said it all the time, and it's true. He says, we come from a long line of geniuses. My grandfather included, myself included. A long line of geniuses. My grandfather was not a stupid individual. My grandfather was a very thoughtful, very intelligent, very intellectual individual. So if he loved Benito Mussolini as opposed to instantly trying to reject the ideology, reject the lessons, the teachings he might have, how about understand, wait, what was going on really at that time from somebody who was actually there, somebody who was in the military, somebody who was in the country and fought for the country in the war. What was it like? Why did you like Mussolini? Why did you guys love him? What did he do for you? How did he help? How did he change the country? Right? Give you another harsh reality check, right? A lot of the issue with what happened after World War I is the winning forces on World War I had so greatly impaired Germany economically through all the restrictions, tariffs, just oppression of that country for what they did after World War I, that somebody like, can I even say it on YouTube? I don't care. That somebody like an Adolf Hitler could come into power because they were so desperate for leadership and somebody to try to change the situation in that country. And that's how they fell into the trap again and then got into another war because of that, right? So at the beginning, somebody has to do something for the people to gain, to give somebody support, right? So it's important to understand these stories and lessons from the past from those who were actually there, because you're going to get a more unbiased, a more real recounting of that war, of that situation, of that ideology than you would from a textbook or from what people who weren't even there try to tell you about it, right? So many times we try to reject the influence and the stories from our elders, from the people who were actually there, and we would prefer to get it off of something off of social media or for somebody that wasn't even alive at the time who tries to tell you their smart, intellectual, college educated recounting of the history when that person wasn't even fucking there. Who cares if you're a professor or not? Were you there? No, my grandfather was there. So guess whose opinion I'm going to take over the professor? My fucking grandfather, because he was there. I don't care how many textbooks you read or how many research papers you've done. Were you there? You weren't. So how the fuck do you know? Let me ask the person who was there. And then you can start to develop your own worldview. Okay? So again, the lesson being, understand why these people thought this way. Understand why society for so many, at this point, thousands of years, the man is the head of the household. The man goes and works. He provides. He makes the money. He brings home the bread, right? The bacon, as they say. And the woman does what? She takes care of the children. She takes care of the home. She's the feminine energy. She takes care of the children. Why for so many centuries was this the case? Is it because that was oppressive? Is it because they have a different, they weren't progressive enough? Or is it what we're doing now in developing a society in which we lie to women and make them think that it's smart for them to pursue the life of a man, even though that they're a woman? Is it because we're right, or is it because we're wrong? I believe it's because it's wrong. Divorce rates have never been this high in history. Why is there so much divorce? Well, because now women are expected to be both men and women. So of course I understand why women feel like they can't have good relationships with men, or they don't want to stay with their husband. Why? Because the woman's now expected to do a man and a woman's job. And the men vice versa. A man's now expected to do a man's job and the woman's job. A man's supposed to go to work, make all this money, protect, provide, sacrifice his life for his woman and children. And he's got to go change diapers. And he's got to make the bottle of milk. And he's got to be at home and take care of the kids. The blurring of the lines is not healthy. My grandfather, what did he say? This is what the men does. This is what the women do. And guess what? He had order in his house. Guess what? He had the best fucking food in the world. Why? Because my grandmother, her job was to cook food. And that's all she had to focus on, is making the best fucking food possible. Guess what? That food was amazing. My mother took care of the children. My grandfather went to the tailor shop and he worked. And he made the money. And he took care of it. When you don't blur the lines, it allows you to operate with a sense of teamwork. A sense of vision, purpose. What are we trying to do here? What's my role? What's my job? And then not blur the lines. What we're doing now is, to me, disgusting. Why are you telling women who have no business pursuing the life of a man and trying to compete at the highest levels in the corporate world, why are we telling them to do that? And then at the same time expect them to also bear children, also take time off and be a mother, also spend time with the children, also be caring and loving and da-da. With what time? How does this work? I understand why women they get divorced all the time and they feel sick about the man they're with, because they're going to work all day and then they come home and they still got to clean the house and they still got to do the laundry and they still got to make the meal. Because it's either that, or on the flip side, they do go to work and they come back and they say, fuck it, I'm not cooking for my husband. Fuck it, I'm not taking care of the laundry. Fuck it, I'm not taking care of the kids. Same outcome. Guess what? Husband's going to get pissed off. He's going to resent his wife because these are the things that she should be doing for him. And they get divorced. Why do you think divorce is so high? So, again, if you listen to your elders, they would all tell you the same thing. What the fuck are you talking about? A man cooking dinner. What the fuck is the man cooking dinner for? Shouldn't he be out working, making money? What is he cooking for? So, these are the lessons, right? Are there good aspects of the way people lived life in the past? Of course. Are there bad aspects that we should have improved upon and changed? Sure. There's always room for improvement. But some things are not broken. And that's the point. There is wisdom in getting the information from your elders because they do know more than you. Just because they're older doesn't mean they're wrong about everything. Now, it doesn't mean that they're right about everything, but we should assume they're right about everything and find the few wrongs and improve upon those, as opposed to doing the opposite and assuming they're wrong about everything, and maybe we find the rights here and there. It's incorrect. It's not true. Okay? In my household, how many diapers do you think I'm going to fucking change? 0. That's not my fucking job. My time has been spent going to war, building a business, building an income, building an empire, buying a home, buying the cars, buying the diapers, so that my wife doesn't ever have to worry about finances in her life. I never want to have to worry about a single dollar ever. I don't want her to have to worry about going and getting a job and helping pay the bills. No, if you're with me, everything's taken care of. Everything. And in return, all I ask you is to do what your job is. Take care of the home, take care of the children. We're good. So one of the easiest ways is one of my favorite tests. One of the easiest ways to find out if a woman is worthwhile spending any time or attention with is just seeing if she's willing to do something for you. Very simple. So my favorite, right? Because I love it so much. Espresso. I drink coffee, espresso all day. So I'll literally tell girls I'm talking to, listen, all I need you to do, all I want you to do for me is make me an espresso. Would you make me an espresso whenever I ask? I say this in person like I do it all the time. And there are girls, there's plenty of them, that their response is, I don't want to make you espresso. Why'd I have to make you espresso? What? I don't like the smell. I don't want to do it because I don't like the smell. Oh, I don't want to get up early and make you an espresso. What kind of fucking woman is that? As a man, why would you ever want to be with a woman like that? She can't make you a coffee, but this is the delusion that these girls are fed, that somehow it's oppressive for them to do something for you. They don't look at the bigger picture, right? One of my favorite examples of this is I'm sitting inside of my $2.5 million mansion in Arizona. Almost 7,000 square foot mansion. Huge. Okay. I'm sitting there at the island, eating something, and I said it to the girl sitting next to me. I said, would you make me espresso whenever I ask? I'm just asking. She goes, no, why do I have to make you espresso whenever you want? And just the delusion. I look up, I look around. I didn't say anything else to her. Of course, the last time I spoke to her. And I thought to myself, the delusion. You're here inside of a $2.5 million mansion. Gorgeous, massive home. I got an AMG GT in the garage. We got an Audi in the garage. Massive presidential driveway. Full pool, waterfall, slide, hot tub, all in ground. Fucking outdoor grill, patio, 3 floors. Gorgeous home. All because of me. I did that. I got all that. I brought all that. Money, don't worry about it. Food, everything's paid for. Everything's good. But you can't make the espresso. Too much to ask for, I guess. Right? I guess I didn't do enough. I guess I didn't provide enough. It's the delusion, right? So that's why nobody's happy. That's why the men can't find a woman that they're... It doesn't even make sense for men to marry women anymore, because the whole agreement doesn't even exist. The whole point of a man marrying a woman is so that the woman attaches herself to the man. The man provides, takes care, and provides for her. And in return, she submits and becomes a part of his household. Now it's, I marry a girl. I lose everything because she's going to divorce me eventually, lose my income, lose my children, get unfavorable laws towards me in every realm of divorce court, right? Don't get obedience, don't get respect. A lot of these dudes don't even get to have sex with their wives. So then it's and they can't cheat. And you can't, not only can you not have sex with your wife because she doesn't want to, but you can't cheat either. Oh no, of course not. How dare you? So then why would a man ever marry a woman in Western society? It doesn't make sense. There's literally no point. And in return, I understand for the woman too why it's stressful, because they marry a guy and they want to have a career too. And she wants to go to work and she wants to work a job for another man and be under another man's control, and which is, again, in it of itself another problem, right? Another reason I won't have my woman working. Why would you work? Why would you work for another man? You either work for me or you don't work. There's no working for another man or another company. You're mine. What are you working for somebody else for? I have plenty of money. You don't need to work. If you want to work, you work with me. If you want to work, you work on your own thing, on your whatever you want to do. There's no working for somebody else. What the fuck are you talking about? So it's a delusion. But all these lessons you can get from your elders. They'll tell you all this. Your elders will tell you all of this. They know this. They've done this for thousands of years. Only now, the woke mind says, oh, women got to have a career and they got to work and they need to get da-da-da-da-da-da. Who gives a fuck? It's that boy, Keo. What about putting stuff in a trust so they can't get anything? Sure, that's a completely different topic. The argument I'm making is the fact that you even have to worry about losing your things to your wife whenever she leaves you is the problem. If she wants to leave, all right, fine. Divorce, leave. But you take half of my shit too. Why? It's my shit. You chose to leave me, okay? Then I keep my shit and you leave me in my shit. Why am I giving you half for? So, anyways, there's your lesson. Listen to your elders. Listen to those who have been where you have been, have gone where you want to go. I got fucking 30,000 different text messages. Holy shit. Must have been a banger stream. So, anyways, listen to your elders. Listen to your godfather, your godmother. Okay? Don't take things personally when they give you feedback, when they tell you what you're doing is wrong. They probably have a reason for it. And don't take what they say so literally, but draw the lesson. Just like I talked about with Jesus in the parable about the woman that they were going to stone to death. Okay? Remove the time period. Remove what they used to do at that time. Remove the just what's the lesson? May the one without sin cast the first stone. Nobody threw a stone. That's the lesson. The lesson is, if you sin yourself, who are you to condemn others in the eyes of God? It's not your place. So don't condemn them. All right? If you're not already inside of the Taylor's Code, the network and the university for the ultimate professional, the link is in the description. Join the private Discord through the link. Sign up as a gentleman. Sign up as a professional. Sign up as a hero. Whatever it may be. Get access to the private portion of the Discord, and we're going to get you making money ASAP. Today. I'm about to jump off the stream and go work on this absolutely revolutionary tech with some of the gentlemen inside the network. That you're just never going to see this or have access to it until it's too late, right? You're going to be the person on the other side paying $20,000, $30,000 just to be able to use it once we have it finished. Join the network, join the Discord, learn how to make money ASAP today, and then be a part of the conversation when it comes to us booking our trips to Brazil, which we're going to in September, booking our trips to Europe for a month in November, right? Put yourself in a financial situation where you can actually be a part of the conversation and be a part of the network on a level where you can influence not only us because you have money, but you can influence others from the network, from the connections, from the money that you've made through the Taylor's Code. Okay? So, outside that, ladies and gentlemen, that is your university meeting, episode 40. All right? Peace.